At first glance, this painting looks like a celebration. Two young men stand at the peak of their power, surrounded by everything the Renaissance considered valuable: globes, gold, fur, astronomical instruments. It's a portrait of success. But look down at the floor between their feet. There's a strange grey smear stretched across the bottom of the painting. From the front, it looks like damage, or maybe a mistake the artist never fixed. Now step to the right side of the frame. Look at it sideways. That smear snaps into focus. It's a human skull. This is The Ambassadors, painted by Hans Holbein the Younger in 1533. And it's not just a portrait of two powerful men. It's a trap. A carefully engineered warning hidden inside a monument to wealth. Because everything on that table, all of it, was built to make you forget the one thing hiding in plain sight. On the left stands Jean de Dinteville. He's 29 years old, and he's the French ambassador to the English court. On the right is his close friend, Georges de Selve, just 25, the Bishop of Lavaur, visiting London at the time. You don't have to guess their ages either. Holbein wrote them directly into the painting. Dinteville's age is carved into the golden scabbard on his hip. Selve's is written on the edge of the book his elbow rests on. Look at how they're dressed. Dinteville is wrapped in pink satin and white lynx fur, a heavy gold medallion around his neck, marking him as a Knight of the Order of St. Michael, the highest honour in France. These are two of the most powerful young men in Europe, captured almost life-size, immortalized at the peak of their influence. But look closely at their faces. Neither one is smiling. Dinteville looks tired. Selve looks uneasy. These aren't the expressions of men enjoying their triumph. And they had every reason to look uneasy. 1533 was one of the most dangerous years in Europe to be a diplomat. Henry VIII had just broken from the Catholic Church, so he could divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn. Rome refused to grant the annulment. Henry didn't care. He split from the Pope anyway, and dragged England into the Reformation with him. Dinteville was stuck in the middle of it. His job was to keep France allied with England without provoking the Vatican, an almost impossible balancing act. In a letter home, he described himself, in his own words, as the most melancholy, weary, and wearisome ambassador that ever was seen. This wasn't political theatre to him. It was a genuine crisis, one that could reshape the religious map of Europe overnight. And Holbein didn't just paint their faces. He built that entire crisis into the objects sitting between them. Between the two men is a two-tiered shelf, and nothing on it is decoration. Every object is a piece of the puzzle. The top shelf holds instruments for reading the heavens: a celestial globe, sundials, a quadrant, a torquetum for tracking the stars. This is the world of pure, ordered knowledge. The bottom shelf holds the tools of earthly life: a terrestrial globe, an arithmetic book, a lute, a case of flutes, a hymnal. But look closer at what these objects are actually doing. The arithmetic book isn't open to just any page. It's open to division. The lute has a broken string, the classic symbol of discord. The flute case is missing one of its flutes, so the set can never play in harmony again. Even the hymnal, filled with hymns tied to the Lutheran reform, sits carefully apart from anything Catholic. Individually, these look like objects of achievement. Together, they tell a different story. This is a world coming apart at the seams, a continent breaking into pieces over faith. And Holbein hid it in plain sight, disguised as still life. Now look at the upper left corner of the painting. Behind a heavy green curtain, barely visible, there's a small silver crucifix. It's easy to miss entirely. It's meant to be. Holbein placed it there deliberately, to balance the composition against something else hidden in the lower right, something we haven't gotten to yet. Salvation tucked in the corner, barely visible. Something else, far more unsettling, waiting at the bottom. Read the painting from top to bottom, and a pattern emerges. Heaven above, earthly life in the middle, and beneath it all, something Holbein wanted you to work to find. Nothing here was accidental. Holbein planned every inch of this composition in advance, long before a single brushstroke touched the panel. Now go back to that strange grey smear stretched across the floor. This is where Holbein's real genius lives. He painted this skull by setting up his picture plane at an extreme angle, then stretching it so severely that from straight on it looks like nothing but a distorted blur. But move to the right, get your eye down near floor level, and the distortion resolves. It becomes a perfectly rendered human skull. The technique is called anamorphosis, and what Holbein pulled off here is the most technically accomplished use of it in the entire 16th century. It's also the only time in his career he ever used it. And here's the part that matters. The trick isn't just a party display of skill, it's the whole argument of the painting. From the front, you see wealth, status, knowledge, everything these two men achieved. The truth is hidden in plain sight, distorted, easy to walk past. You have to physically move. You have to choose to look from a different angle to see what's actually been sitting there in front of you the entire time. And the skull turned out to be more than a symbol. Georges de Selve died in 1541, just 8 years after this painting was finished, still in his early 30s. Jean de Dinteville outlived him by over a decade, but died relatively young too, well before the religious wars he feared would tear Europe apart. The painting hung quietly in his family's chateau in France for generations, passed down, nearly forgotten, before it finally reached London's National Gallery in 1890. And there it remains, in room 4, still forcing every visitor who walks past to step sideways and look. This is why the painting still stops people 500 years later. We all build our own version of that shelf, our achievements, our status, the shiny proof that we're doing fine. We stand at the center of it, looking straight ahead, admiring what we've collected. But Holbein put the one thing none of us want to look at directly, right there at our feet, stretched sideways, waiting. The globes still spin, the lute string is still broken, the skull is still on the floor. It hasn't moved in 5 centuries. All it's ever asked of anyone is to shift a few feet to the right, change the angle, and actually look. So the question is simple. Where are you standing?